Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to set up a mushroom fruiting block. First, let's define what is a mushroom fruiting block exactly. Well, it's a bag with a substrate material inside it on which our mycelium is living. And a substrate material could be anything from hardwood sawdust all the way through to chopped straw. The reason why substrate blocks or fruiting blocks are so valuable to mushroom cultivators is they allow you to introduce mycelium to your substrate in a sterile environment. You then take this block, put it in your fruiting room, and grow the mushrooms that we all love and enjoy. One of the greatest things about nature is its diversity, and that's no different in the fruiting block world. As you can see before me, we have a huge array of colours, shapes, sizes and orientations from which our mushrooms will grow. It's a very important lesson for hobbyists and commercial cultivators to understand how to properly prepare our fruiting blocks in order to get maximum yields. So that's what we're going to cover today. A great place to start, and at the core of the mushroom cultivation philosophy, is to mimic what nature does. In the natural environment, oyster mushrooms will be growing out of the side of a tree like this. So a fruiting block allows us to mimic that within the cultivation environment. What we've done here is put a slice in the side of the block, and that provides the same structure and platform for growth as this tree trunk right here. For some of our favourite varieties, such as lion's mane, turkey tail and oyster, we're going to put a slit in the side of the bag. You could also do crosses. The main thing is that we're fruiting out the side, and this is called side fruiting. However, shiitake mushrooms are ever so slightly different. For shiitake mushrooms, we take the fruiting block entirely out of the bag. This is because following the popcorning stage, when it goes brown like that, the mushrooms are ready to grow all the way around our fruiting block. So we don't want to limit the growth by only fruiting out the side. The final orientation that we're going to look at today is top fruiting. This is ideal for varieties such as reishi and maitake. And the great thing about top fruiting is that you can actually then fruit the mushroom inside the bag. So this means that you have the versatility to choose whether you have it exposed to your growing environment, or if you don't have a custom growing room, you can actually grow it inside the bag to safeguard humidity. So we now know that mushroom fruiting blocks are essential for hobbyist and commercial cultivators alike. The next step is to learn how to handle and then care for our blocks all the way through to harvest.
For side fruiting bags, the first step is to cut the top corners from the growing bag. This will allow the air to escape. Then, we roll the bag down tight to the face of the fruiting block and stick it into position. Before we make the cut to the side of our bag, it's important that we sterilise our utensil first. In this case, I'm using rubbing alcohol. The final stage is to add the cut to our bag. For something like oyster mushrooms or turkey tail, it's good practice to cut from the top to the bottom corner across the whole face of the bag, although you could also cut in X shapes across the face. For oyster and lion's mane mushrooms, I like to put one big cut across the face of the bag from the bottom to the top corner. If we're growing turkey tail mushrooms, it's good practice to do two cuts running in parallel with each other. For shiitake mushrooms, there's no fixed science. The aim is to remove the block entirely from the bag. However, I do like to leave the bag on the bottom of the block to stop any water from dripping below. If you choose to top fruit inside the bag, you should take no further steps. However, if you wish to top fruit outside of the bag, then run a single cut along the full circumference just above the substrate line.
Once we've finished setting up our bags and therefore our fruiting blocks, the care instructions from here on out are more or less the same no matter which variety you're growing. The next step is to control the environment in which our mushroom block is living. So what we want to control is humidity, light and temperature. If we're in a domestic environment like this can be achieved quite easily by using a humidity dome or an upturned clear plastic tub. However, if we're in a commercial environment, this would be the moment at which we put our block into our climate-controlled fruiting chamber. And there we have it, our fast blast through the world of mushroom fruiting blocks comes to an end. I hope you found it useful, but there's three key takeaways that I'd like you to hold close on your cultivation journeys. Number one, listen to the mycelium. If the mycelium changes colour, appears too dry or too wet, change the conditions. Number two, consistency is key. So avoid placing your block anywhere where you'll experience temperature and draft and light fluctuations. So inside a greenhouse wouldn't be suitable, but in a nice quiet corner of the house with consistent light and consistent temperatures is spot on. And number three, trust nature. As we've discovered, the whole point of mushroom cultivation is to try and mimic nature as closely as possible. So if you're providing your block with the similar conditions to which it would find naturally, you can't go far wrong. If you want to learn more about the many different fantastic ways you can grow mushrooms at home, subscribe to our channel to take the next step on your mushroom growing journey.